Dear Mandela follows three young shack dwellers from the shanty towns of Durban, South Africa, as they resist mass eviction and challenge a new Slums Act in the Constitutional Court. It's also a look at a new generation of young South Africans growing up after apartheid in a new democracy, and we wanted to show what life was like in the shanty towns for young people.
Our film is a character-driven, character-based film, and when we started to work with the social movement Abahlali Basimjondolo in South Africa, we discovered that many of their leaders were of that young generation, what in South Africa is called the born free generation, first to grow up in a free South Africa. And it was through the story of our characters that we were able to connect to the larger story of evictions and problems with housing that millions of people are dealing with in South Africa now.
We were really excited to be working with Witness as one of our partners on the film, and it's just been really important for us to have the back and forth during the filmmaking about, you know, how the film could be used, and also how different communities sort of frame these debates.
We're always very inspired by the work of Witness, and in fact, while filming, we held several camera workshops with a lot of the young people in Kennedy Road and within the Abahlali movement, and people have such a hungry desire to learn how to utilize these tools like video and storytelling. It's definitely a way that we see we connect with the work of Witness, because that is something that maybe isn't on the mind of every filmmaker that's following a story over a few years.
We're filmmakers, but we also became very involved with their lives and with the work. And, you know, throughout filming, we weren't just kind of going to Durban, filming, and then bringing back footage. We tried as much as possible when things were happening to edit short little videos right when things were happening and put them out, because often, you know, some victories or, you know, crises or challenges that the movement was facing, the story wasn't being told in the mainstream media, and so we really felt that was something we had to do.
Putting the videos up on the internet created a lot of really positive effects. There was protests at the South African embassies and consulates in New York, London, New Zealand, Moscow, and various other cities, and it was pretty clear that this created some pressure on the South African government, that they knew that this wasn't happening in the shadows, and that this repression and this violence directed towards the social movement of the poor was something that people were paying attention to. One of the motivations that we had to make the film was to challenge some of the negative stereotypes that exist of shack dwellers in South Africa, which are very similar to a lot of the stereotypes we see here in the United States towards poor people as being dangerous, uneducated, lazy. Really damaging perceptions are out there that we felt in the video form is something that we could really go up against directly, you know, to show that these notions aren't true.
The apartheid struggle wasn't just fought for the right to vote, but it was also fought for the right to a dignified life. And South Africa has an amazing constitution, one of the most progressive constitutions of the world. And so I think that the struggle right now is for the new generation, the young generation, to hold South Africa up to those promises. We followed them over 4 years as they take their case to the court, and they actually won their case, and they managed to get the Slums Act declared unconstitutional and scrapped from the books. So while it hasn't meant that evictions have completely stopped in South Africa, it is a huge victory, and one that we think should be celebrated. Because it's a constitutional court case, it serves as jurisprudence for the rest of the country, and even for other countries look to the decisions of the Constitutional Court of South Africa. And so because of the victory in the Constitutional Court, other provinces who've tried to pass the same act haven't been able to. The name Dear Mandela came from one of our first filming trips in Durban. One of the young people in the film said to us, we just wish that Nelson Mandela could come to the shack settlements and see how we're living, because we don't think that he would be very happy about it. I just thought there was something very beautiful about that desire, you know, that yearning and respect for Mandela, respect for his years of sacrifice, for being imprisoned in the name of a free South Africa, and also, you know, the desire for accountability and the desire for the promises that came with the end of apartheid, for those promises to be fulfilled. One of the characters in the film, Mazwi, he says after the Constitutional Court victory, he says, you know, it's very, very hard to evict people who know their rights. And, you know, the fact that they'd been to the Constitutional Court, they knew their rights, meant that, you know, when the authorities came to tell them to move, they said no. A lot of communities are standing their ground, and we've seen that the authorities are much less likely to try to evict these communities. The Durban International Film Festival is the absolutely ideal place for us to show the film publicly for the first time, because it's where the film was made, and I think that it just feels like the right thing to do, to show it to the community that it's about first before it goes around the world. We're looking ahead to doing a countrywide tour in 2012 all around South Africa, because all around South Africa there are massive growing informal settlements, and there are also rampant evictions. We'll be capturing the response, so we'll keep you posted.